What's our intro going to be?
Oh, it's this. This conversation right now is our intro. This is it. As good as it gets. Intro accomplished. We're going to talk about Nosferatu.
We are going to talk about Nosferatu.
We've been on camera before.
I'm Bree.
I'm Brendan.
And these are our Bree-views.
Gross.
I think it's the cutest thing to ever exist.
I know you do. I'm just dying inside about it. But yeah, we went and saw Nosferatu, and it didn't suck.
It didn't. What would you give it? Just like, let's do a quick shot.
Like out of 10?
Yeah, out of 10.
I'm going to give it a solid 9.
Really? A 9?
It's nuts.
Okay, well, I'm going to give it a 6.5.
What movie have you seen in the last year that was better?
A lot.
Name one.
Twisters.
You're wrong. You're objectively wrong.
No, Twisters was a cinematic masterpiece, and I loved it so much.
No, I think you actually watched a cinematic masterpiece, and now you're just talking about some shenanigans.
All right, so let's get into it. Nosferatu.
Yep.
One of the things that I loved most about it was the cinematography. I think it was so beautiful. But before we get into all of that, let's do a quick rundown of what the movie was about.
It's not going to be quick.
We're very verbose here on Bree-views.
So it starts off with a flashback, as a lot of movies do, to our female lead, Ellen.
Is that her name? Okay, I went through that entire movie not knowing what her name was. I know Thomas.
You want me to consult the list?
I mean, whatever you want to do.
I made a list. Right here.
You have the list.
I made the list. Ellen.
Count Orlok.
Yeah. Okay. But
yeah.
So we start with a flashback of Ellen, and she has sex with a vampire almost immediately.
She was a very lonely maiden, and she just wanted some attention, and she wanted some affection.
Yeah, so she calls out to the universe. She's like, "Hey, Dark Lord."
Well, she doesn't say Dark Lord. She sends out a prayer to be answered to, like...
It wasn't like a regular prayer, though. It was to, like...
You think it was dark?
I don't think she was like, "Hey, God, send me a dude." I think it was more like, "Hey, whatever's out there, excluding Big G, come on, let's go."
Why not the Big G, though?
I don't know. That didn't seem like that type of prayer.
Okay.
But she woke up a vampire, essentially. I mean, I'm not spoiling it for you.
She didn't wake up.
Yeah, he had been asleep until she did that.
Oh, she woke up a vampire.
Yep.
Yeah, okay. I thought you meant she became a vampire. Yeah, so she woke up a vampire, and then we have a fast forward moment to the present where she has just married this wonderful sweet man, Thomas. The vampire learns of their wedding, and he's not happy because he wants his lady back.
Yep. But Thomas is a brokey. He's broke. And he wants to do better. So he goes to his boss and is like, "Hey, I need to do something else."
Yep.
And his boss is like, "I got just the job for you. You got to go and travel to another country and pick up our client because he just bought this busted up manor house up in London." Where'd they go? Where was he?
I don't remember. It was a small isle, though. There were gypsies.
Yeah, it's the same place that Dracula was from.
Correct.
So wherever Dracula's homeland was, it's that place.
Mm-hmm.
It's some mountain range.
Yep.
So Thomas goes on this perilous journey and starts hanging out with gypsies, and they're all like...
They sacrificed a virgin maiden.
Well, they didn't even sacrifice her. She just rode out on a horse.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah. So like they're all like, "You should go," but he doesn't speak whatever language they're speaking.
So he's like, "Do."
Yeah. They still
I'm just gonna keep going.
And then like one night he goes out and like sees the gypsies riding a naked woman on a horse, this virgin woman, and we're like, "Oh, she's gonna be sacrificed." No.
She had a major bush. Can we just talk about the bush for a second?
I didn't notice the bush. She was on
it
the
was
horse.
a 70s style bush.
I mean, she had fake breasts, and I thought that was a little out of place in the old timey movie. I don't know what they were made. I guess they were made of hay. But like, I was thinking virgin sacrifice because they're like, why else are we driving out this virgin? Well, no, they dig up a vampire and stab it right in the chest,
and then he vomits a bunch of blood. Was that Nosferatu?
No, no,
That
no,
was a
no.
different
There's
vampire.
some other some
Oh
other
my god.
vampire.
Yeah, that was a little.
That was surprising. Then they steal Thomas's horse,
Yep.
so he's gotta walk from this crappy town
Uh-huh.
to, the castle that belongs to this guy, Count Orlok, his new employer,
Uh-huh.
essentially.
And it was quite the walk. That was one of my favorite cinematography moments of the movie was when Thomas was, like,
Yeah.
laboring up this mountain, and he also
Walking through the creepiest woods ever.
uh-huh, literally ever to ever exist. But I loved it. I thought it was beautifully done when the
Yep.
snow was coming down. It was stunning, and it was so eerie and so creepy, but, like, in the best way.
And then Thomas starts to have, like, weird hallucination things
Mhm.
happening because, like, a carriage drives up and he envisions himself kicked by a horse or something. There's
Yeah,
no driver to this carriage. It's real, but he didn't get run over by it.
correct.
He, like, thought he did. This is a weird mind twist. So then he rides this driverless carriage being chased by wolves back to this castle.
Yep. And that's where he meets Count Draco.
Well,
Draco.
Count
No.
Orlok.
War
Orlok, not Warlock, Orlok. Or
Draco, I think, is from
Nosferatu.
Harry Potter.
Yeah, Draco Malfoy. He's a person.
There's a lot of fanfic going on about him right now, so that's why
Is
he's
he?
on my brain.
I don't
Yes.
know why this
Oh,
fanfic
yeah. Uh-huh.
about a teenager?
About Draco, yeah. Like,
Okay.
all the girls want him.
Okay.
Anyways,
Cool. Well,
segue.
back to Count Orlok. He's not your typical vampire.
Okay, and this is why we got a 6.5 because you guys, I am a romance
This is why I
author.
got a 9.
My husband he is a Virgo. Let's just say that. Not very romantic at all. And so this vampire was so decrepit, so disgusting looking,
Oh, yeah.
just straight up nightmare fuel.
Look, we're talking about an undead guy here, and he is grotesque.
Uh-huh.
He's 9 foot tall or something. He's a giant.
It looked like he had a toupee as well.
He's a giant. He's got like a Stalin-like mustache.
Uh-huh.
He's wheezing. He's gross.
Yes.
He's got like a pretty classic Dracula
Feel.
accent.
Uh-huh. Yes, the accent was
Yeah.
amazing.
Not
The accent was on
not the
par.
feel of Dracula, because Dracula was like suave and
Yeah.
like no. The Nosferatu, Orlok, no, he's not suave.
He's not suave at
He's
all.
not pretty.
He's and And that's the thing is, like, he also possessed a lot of power,
Oh yeah.
obviously, and so, like, a lot of
And
power. He was very OP.
it's not your regular vampire powers.
Right. It
Like,
wasn't.
he doesn't just turn into mist. He doesn't just turn
He
into
didn't
bats.
turn into mist, you bitch. He
Doesn't
didn't
turn
turn into mist.
doesn't turn into wolves. He doesn't really seduce a lot of women except for the one,
Yeah, he just wants his girl.
but he does have like cool shadow magic of seemingly control over rats.
Uh-huh.
Um,
'Cause
we'll get to that.
okay.
But so Thomas gets there, and Orlok's like, "Cool, let's do some business. It's late at
Mhm.
night. We're doing this."
Yeah.
And he puts in front of him a contract that he can't read because it's in whatever language Orlok speaks. I don't know.
Yeah.
And the guy signs it.
Right.
Now he's getting mind control a little bit.
He is.
He's in some like mental anguish,
Right.
and he signs it in exchange for a sack of gold. Later, we find out that was the contract to like annul his marriage.
Oh, I didn't know that part 'cause
Yeah, that was
I was
yep,
outside the theater
yep.
when that
He
happened.
basically just annulled his marriage, so that we'll come to that. But that happens, and then we get a good like 10 minutes of Thomas just being tormented by Orlok. He is like
Straight up tortured.
he's just mind fucking the guy.
Mhm.
The Thomas tries to kill Orlok with a pickaxe, and vampire just grabs that pickaxe while he's asleep and just grabs it, sits upright vampire style, and hangs dong for a minute. And we learn like, oh, he's covered in maggots and gross.
Oh, he's covered in maggots? I
Yeah,
didn't
well,
see that part.
he sleeps in dirt, and he's a
Oh,
dead guy.
see, you guys, that's what I'm saying, like, coming from the romance world, and especially the final scene of the movie, like, it was so grotesque.
It was
disgusting.
anti-romantic,
It was
but
definitely anti-romantic for sure.
yeah,
Like,
but
I thought that I was gonna be scorny. Can we talk about that?
yeah. Scorny, scaroused.
Scaroused.
What other combinations of scary and horny might there be?
Skirnton.
Skirt on. Oh, you get like a terror boner over here.
But yeah, we went into this movie thinking like, "Oh, there's definitely gonna be some scorny moments." No.
Not really.
Oh, you didn't?
No.
Okay, I thought yeah, because the
I
way
thought there
that
would be too.
I didn't think that he was gonna be so decrepit and so disgusting.
Yeah. Well, as part of Thomas's like mental torture, which was seriously just scene after scene of him just getting fed on by a vampire, waking up, just being in a horrible hazy state and living and being in like a nightmare castle.
Yeah.
Dude falls out of a window into a rushing river, and I guess wakes up with some nuns.
Yes, he woke up with some nuns who tried to, like, bring his mind back and, like, heal him, and they were praying over him, and then he basically is like, "No, I don't wanna be here, and I need to leave to go back to my wife," and so he heads back to town at the same time that Nosferatu gets onto a ship. Nosferatu.
Nosferatu, yeah.
Nosferatu, gets onto a ship and heads to the
Britain,
mainland. Yeah, Britain.
Britain, yeah.
And he releases the plague on the ship, and
Or
so
he is the plague.
he is the plague. Well, yeah, he infests the rats, and
Yeah.
that's one of his powers that I thought was really interesting and kind of a
So he's not like a regular vampire. He's more in this one. It's
Mhm.
very clear he's more of a demon type, demonic
Yeah.
type vampire. So you get a
Yes.
lot of powers.
It was very biblical in that sense of, like, vampires, yeah, thought to be more
Yeah.
demons. So that was a cool component, I think.
They both make their way to Britain.
Mhm.
The
One easier than the other.
Yeah, and I think Ellen, the female lead,
Yep.
like the one who is supposed like the one who's enthralled this vampire
Mhm.
has somehow been communicating with him through magic.
Yep.
And he's hitting on her. He's telling her like, "Hey, you got to ditch your husband and be with me." In her
So we can
dreams.
earn.
Yep. And she is losing her mind too.
Yeah.
So the doctors are dosing her up with ether to try to keep her calm.
Mhm.
It's not working.
Yeah, it's not working. There's some exorcism moments that happen that I thought were pretty
I
cool.
think that was the scorny moment or scaroused moment. Because like in her dreams is a lot of orgasm like behavior.
That yes, so a lot of, like, pleasure-based moaning, things like
Yeah.
that.
Is it like,
I was like, "Oh,
are
what's
are
happening?"
we having a good time or a bad time? Maybe a little bit of both.
Correct.
I'm like, that's cool. Um, there was a whole lot of that.
Right. And essentially, Britain is being taken over by the plague once Nosferatu's ship arrives.
Tons of rats.
Tons of rats. Ugh.
Like
Ugh.
moving carpet. It
Yeah.
looks like a moving carpet in some scenes. It's gross.
And throughout this time, one of Thomas's friends and Ellen's friends Ellen? Yes.
Ellen's female friend is Anna.
Right, I know, but I'm getting to Doc because
Oh, okay. Well,
E
there's
Ellen thinks that or knows that this is Nosferatu, that this is happening, but no one
yep.
will believe her, and she also knows, like, he is bringing the plague to Britain, and everyone keeps dismissing
Which doctor
her.
is this? There's like a medical doctor, and then there's like a professor.
The professor.
Professor William Defoe.
Yes.
Here on out, Professor Defoe.
Defoe.
Yep, the Green Goblin himself.
Yeah. I thought he
He
did
played
so
he played
well.
a great like seemingly crazy guy.
Yeah, it was amazing.
It was good. But there's a medical doctor too,
Mhm.
and he's trying to dose her up with ether and treat her
Right.
medically. Obviously, though, it's magic.
Yeah.
Somehow, Professor Defoe gets roped into it.
Uh-huh.
All the while, Ellen is hanging out with her friend
Amy?
Amy or Anna and Harding
Yes, and Harding.
at their place, and they got these two little kids, and it's just like an ideal family.
Yeah. And Nosferatu decides to threaten her and basically says, "If you don't come and give me what I want, the pussycat."
What? Yeah.
Meow.
What'd you say, man?
And, if you don't do that, then everybody you love will die, and the first one to go is Anna.
Yeah, he's like, "You got 3 days
Yep.
to willingly give yourself to me, otherwise everyone's gonna die."
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
And
And die they
I think
did.
it was gonna kill the whole city, honestly, of plague, because people are just dropping in the street.
Oh, yeah.
There's just
Yeah.
dead bodies everywhere.
Right.
So Harding, Ellen tells Harding, the owner of the house that she's
Mhm.
in, is like, "Hey, this is magic. Everyone's gonna die.
Yep.
We need to listen to Professor Defoe." And he's like, "Mm-mm, get out."
Yep.
And by this time, Thomas had come back, and he's super sickly
Yeah.
and weak, being drained of blood and all sorts of stuff.
Mhm.
So they leave.
And okay, so Harding pushes them out, and then Anna and their twins die, and Harding's
So
like,
Anna gets munched on by some rats one
"Yep."
night. Then the next night, she wakes up to her kids being like drank like a soda by Nosferatu.
Straight up,
He's
he's
literally
just
got one
like
in each hand. And he's like he's a 9 foot
he's
tall
double
he's a
fisting.
9 foot tall monster guy, and he's just like, "Oh, I got this one drained." He
It was
drops
like a
them.
college bar double fisting, yeah.
Yeah, this is
Crazy.
wild.
And then after that, they essentially let's just talk about the cinematography that happened in those scenes though, because
Yeah,
this wasn't your typical jump scare. I mean, there were, I think,
there
2 or
were
3.
very few jump scares,
There were
but
a few jump
it was
scares,
so creepy.
but we were on the edge of our seat the entire time because the cinematography was so beautiful. Like, there's this one scene where they did such a beautiful pan moment, and then when it came back, I was like, "Whoa!" Like, it was
Yeah.
really
Yeah,
good.
it's just like the slow camera movement with the right
Uh-huh.
music and the right ambiance just puts this whole thing
It was
at a
amazing.
solid 9 out of 10.
And also the camera filters that they used too, I thought were really well done because it had great, what's the word I'm looking for?
Atmosphere?
Yeah, atmosphere, but you knew when things were going well, and you also knew when things weren't going well because the
I think it was just always going badly.
I
The whole movie went badly.
but no, because when they first arrived to Anna and Harding's house, like, they
Okay,
were,
yeah.
you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And things were more bright and vivid and beautiful, and then as time goes on, the lighting in the movie itself changed, and I thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
So Harding kicked them out.
Harding kicked them out. His family died.
His family dies.
We have a nice funeral scene, where
So
he
great.
tries to go off on Ellen for causing all this stuff
Right.
somehow, even though he doesn't believe in magic.
Uh-huh.
Um,
Made so much sense.
Professor Defoe goes and investigates Thomas's boss and
Mhm.
finds out, "Oh, this guy has a big old book of demon stuff." And he has been talking with, Orlok
Mhm.
this whole time,
Yep. So he's the one who sent Thomas to Orlok.
and he's a madman.
Right. And his character was so
Yep.
unhinged in, like, the best way. He was just like he reminded me a lot of, uh, who is the guy, the hunchback guy who works with the man who made Frankenstein? He reminded me of that guy.
I don't know, but he's not from Notre Dame, is he?
No, it's not Notre Dame. Um, but it was just yeah, it was
He's,
crazy.
like, eating the heads off of rats and just doing all sorts of
Uh-huh.
stuff. It's not
It's
good.
so scary.
But he, like, put a lot of these things in motion,
Right.
we find.
And so they create a team together because
Yeah.
now they only have 2 days, and, um
No, it's 1 day left.
oh,
And
1
it's
day
on the
left.
final day,
Right. And
they get together, get their shit together, and like,
mhm.
"Hey, it's actual, like, demon stuff. We gotta go and, burn this guy. We need to get rid of his homeland soil, make sure
Correct.
he can't sleep in that. That's a
Yep.
big deal, and we gotta drive a stake through him."
Yep.
They were using a metal stake. I think these vampires run on different rules.
Yes. And so, Emma?
Female lead?
Yeah.
Ellen?
Ellen, why can I not get
Well,
her
you're
name
yeah,
right?
Anna, her friend.
Okay. Ellen, she knows that this isn't going to work, that, like, she's sending Thomas off to do this task that she knows won't work, and so she ends up calling Nosferatu to her as Thomas is headed towards him, so that she can save his life, because they learn in Nosferatu's little buddy, his
Yeah, they have his book of demon
his book of
stuff.
demon stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, he can only be, maybe not only, but he can be destroyed if the maiden calls to him and then keeps him when the sun rises.
Yeah, she's gotta keep him there till morning so he doesn't sleep in his homeland soil.
Yes. And so can we just
Well, okay. So the guys, William Defoe, Thomas,
Uh-huh.
um, and the medical doctor
Mhm.
all go out to go and kill this guy. The other guy died of plague.
Yes,
Thomas's buddy,
correct.
Harding. He just randomly dies of plague. I don't know.
He jumps into his wife's casket and he's like, "I'm gonna be with you forever."
Yeah, but really he's just coughing up blood and
Yeah.
dying. So I guess he was with her for all of an hour. But the dream team, they show up at this decrepit manor
Mhm.
and bust in and walk through. It's just rat infested, plague rat
So
infested.
gross.
They walk in, pop open this casket, and stab whoever is inside right in the chest. But it was
Not Nosferatu.
no, it was Thomas's boss who had gone nuts.
Yep.
And like he's still talking with a pole in his chest,
Uh-huh.
just talking crazy stuff.
Yep. Yep.
Um, Meanwhile,
Nosferatu is on his way to Ellen, and that was one of my favorite scenes in the
the
movie,
shadows.
where it shows the shadows
Yeah.
of him, like, going through the house. It was, like, so cool.
Yeah.
And,
He controls the shadows. So like the shadows are
yeah.
magic and alive in their own way.
Right.
So it's not like he's just casting a shadow. No, these are magic.
Yeah, magic shadows, and he shows up, and she gives herself to him. I don't even know if they ended up doing it.
Mm, I think so.
You think so? While he was biting her?
I'm pretty sure they just went at it all night. Also, when he had previously bitten, it kind of looked a lot like they were going at it.
Okay.
But not with her, but with Thomas.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So it was like, okay.
Great.
But like they went at it all night
Yeah.
and she kept him there. She wouldn't let him go. She's like, no, keep feeding, keep going. Let's
Yep.
do this. And as the sun rises, Thomas comes in and Nosferatu and his wife both die.
Yeah, they both die. She had to sacrifice herself to save everybody.
Yep.
And,
But did she? Couldn't they just keeping him from his native soil and he dies?
I think in order for him, I don't know.
I feel like
I think she wanted to, though. She wanted
I don't know. She wanted it.
to not risk her husband
Oh yeah,
because she really did love Thomas, I think.
yeah, yeah.
And the ending image will be forever imprinted in my mind
This guy
of
skips
his
leg day every day.
scrawny little ass bones.
Oh yeah,
Like, ugh.
he looks like partially jacked up top.
Yeah.
Like he's like grotesquely muscular in
Yeah.
a twisted sort of way. I mean, he's a very old corpse walking around, but his legs are like skin and bone, like emaciated,
Literally skin and bone.
horrible looking. He's a monster.
Yeah, he's definitely a monster, and that's where I was like, "Man, I really wish that, like, it would have been almost mummy style, where, like, the more that he drank her blood or something that, like, it showed him
Well, so
being
you gave him a 6
beautiful."
out of 5, partially because he was emaciated. How many extra points would a bubble butt have gotten you there?
Oh, definitely an extra 2 point.
Okay, so we got 2 more points for bubble butt, 1 for each cheek. Got it.
Yes.
Oh, man.
Um, yeah, I mean, I really loved it. I think I'm honestly just being a little bit cheeky about the rating, but I really enjoyed it. I thought it
Yeah.
was excellent.
I mean, I'm not, like, a pretentious cinema snob, but I bet they really dug this shit.
Yeah, correct. I will say though, the scene where she pulls him back to her reminded me so much of Midnight Mass on Netflix.
Well, yeah.
You remember
Yeah.
that one scene where the main curly haired girl, she like pulls him and slits his wings?
Oh,
Remember
yeah.
that?
Yeah.
So the Nosferatu scene reminded me a lot of
Yeah.
another show. So that was interesting.
That's good.
Yeah.
Overall, it's a great movie. I'd recommend it.
Yeah.
I'll probably see it again.
Yeah, we'll definitely probably see it with some of our friends.
Yes.
It was very, very good.
Yep.
Well, is that our review? Anything else?
That's it.
Okay.
Now I gotta do a sign-off thing.
What's our sign off going to be?
Goodbye.
Thanks for hanging out with us, guys. This was fun. And we'll be back with another preview.
Gross.